Hello, welcome back to the channel. This week in the Rugby World Cup, we've got a couple of games that I think will get views. There's other games that I don't think will get views. And I've learned the hard way that unless they're big games, you guys don't tune in. So I'm going to be watching in the background, maybe do a review for one or two of them. But instead, because I didn't think there was a lot of games with a huge amount of significance this weekend, I'm going to do something different. We're going to go through the comments section of my channel. There's a lot of comments that I'm getting, more than I can kind of keep up with replies. Back in the early days, when I had like 50 subscribers and I was doing like Champions Cup, like it was much easier to stay on top of comments. But I've got a full-time job and everything, so I can't have the chance to respond to all of them. So I thought this was probably a good chance to get in, have a look at some of the comments, and address them directly. And yeah, have some fun with it. I've been looking forward to this because some comments are really cool. There's a lot of analysis going into there. Is what I want. There's some that are brain dead as hell, and there are some that are just fucking unhinged. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first video we're going to have a look at the comments for is going to be my South Africa versus Scotland review. And yeah, I'm just going to pick apart some here. Okay, so we've got a comment here from Andrew Boy 6850. In over 50 years of following rugby, I believe that more often than not, it's the second half that sorts the men out from the boys. This was typical South Africa approach to test match rugby. It may not be pretty, but it's effective. More often than not, it gets you wins. And this is completely what I've been talking about. It's kind of winning the game in the second half by tactics rather than fitness, if that makes sense. I really feel like South Africa win the second half because of the bomb squad that they bring on. They managed to bring on this team at like 60 minutes that I think a lot of these forwards could start for a lot of other countries. And it's this whole concept that I'm talking about of having two engines that you can just replace at the 60-minute mark and then just, dominate the game. So instead of I'm not saying that South African players aren't incredibly fit. They probably definitely are. They probably definitely train at altitude. But what I am saying is that they're kind of taking all of the chance out of it. And if you've got an incredibly physical game, you basically just have a fresh squad that you can bring on into the forward pack, which basically means they will definitely be fresher than the opposition. I often find at international rugby, when you've got two sides that are very equal, much like Andrew's mentioned here, that the first half is usually, unless someone finds a way to break the line consistently and find an advantage, it's just two teams just beating the crap out of each other. They just go backwards and forwards, and it really is one in the second half. And traditionally, how I feel like that's done is usually greater fitness, maybe a change at halftime in terms of attacking or defensive rugby. But the way I think South Africa are doing this is just by changing the players on the pitch, having that strength and depth, and using that as their advantage to put fresh legs on. So totally agree with Andrew here. Okay, we've got another cool comment here from Amek Gomo 5250. The bigger benefit of the bomb squad is the shorter scrummages. It's a huge advantage. You saw them dominate scrum after scrum from then on. And again, I totally agree with you. I've not mentioned this myself, and I haven't noticed it myself. So credit to Amek Gomo for noticing this. But I am 100% of the point of view that if you have shorter scrummages in the scrum, it means you have a lower center of gravity, which means it's much easier to get underneath your opposition in terms of the front row, and you can drive forward and you can dominate the scrum. And I think that's a real unsaid advantage for scrummaging that really isn't mentioned that often. I'm just trying to think of that French prop. Who was he? I think his name was Domingo. I've just put French Domingo in Google. French Domingo prop. I think his name was Thomas Domingo. This dude, I'm just gonna get a picture up of this guy because you can just have a look at his freaking size, dude. So if we look here, right, this is Domingo here, right in the middle. You can see that he is like shorter than I've forgotten Morgan Parra. He's shorter than Morgan Parra, but he's stocky as hell. And when you have a prop that's like that, he just can generate power underneath and can have the advantage. Scrums in terms of engagement is all about getting the engagement underneath your opposition as much as you can, and that will give you an advantage because you can go lower than the opposition, and it means that you can drive and you've got more force that you can push forward to them. And if you have a prop like Domingo to do that, sensational. And I think that's what That's what our man in the comments is saying. So I could not agree more, and it's something I've not picked up on or talked about. So like, you totally agree. Could not agree more. Okay, I think that's it for that game. Let's have a look at a different game. Have a look at something more recent. Let's have a look at Ireland, South Africa. There's some funny ones in here, man. Okay, we've got one here from Razormouth. It's got 24 likes. I'm saying this as a rugby fan, not an Irish one. The maul was on the ground for ages before Ben blew the whistle. I was pretty much almost celebrating before the whistle came. Box should have protected the ball better. Why was the ball not at the back of the maul where it's supposed to be? Correct decision, in my opinion. Just looked bad because the ball came out after the whistle. Watch it again and imagine a choke tackle. It's the same principle. The ball was smothered. Okay, so I want to take another look at this, and we'll make an opinion in real. I'll make another opinion in real time. Let's have a look at this. Okay. So interestingly, straight away what we're seeing here, this is the most replayed part. Now, is that to do with just, it's an Ireland victory, it's the end of the game, and everyone is kind of just wants to see the moment? Might be that, but it might be that people are reviewing this themselves. I don't know. I wouldn't want to speculate, but let's just have a look at this again.
The centre's in.
So the maul is coming across. Everything's fine. Everything's legal here. And then it drops here. And I don't think there's anything illegal with that. That's just people driving. No one's thrown themselves to the floor to collapse the maul. The majority of the maul is still on its feet at this point, right? Everyone is still on their feet. Nothing's been held up at this point. And what I will say at this point, just as it collapsed, South Africa should do a much better job here of funneling the ball back to the back of the line out. This probably comes around because you've got your backs coming in to help out with the maul to try and get it over the line as a final play, which obviously helps. But the issue is that you have like the disorganization of having a back coming in and they don't know the responsibility of the person at the back of the maul to take the ball. So that is a mistake by South Africa. Now, I can understand. All right, okay. All right. I just want to see what Ben O'Keefe's eyes are seeing here, like right in here, because it's pixelated. You can't see what he's seeing. But I'm starting to understand why people have the opinion that, sure, I can understand that it's been held in. I would give it from this point, it's collapsed. I'd give it 2 more seconds for it to come out. And if it doesn't come out, I think that's the whistle, okay? 1, 2. Okay, ball is... Okay. Yeah, I guess I agree with the comment, and I guess I agree it probably was a scrum to Ireland. That's fair enough. What I don't like about this is that Ben O'Keefe has blown the whistle after he's seen the ball, if that makes sense. So I think I would like to change my opinion in saying that the call on the game was correct, but what I feel like South Africa are hard done by is the fact that Ben O'Keefe's waited to blow his whistle until he's seen the ball here. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. I want to change my opinion. It's the right call on the field. However, I think it is harsh that you've left it for this long and then you've blown the whistle once you can see the balls come out. I think that's harsh, but that's my personal opinion. Let's go back to the comments, comment here from Robbie4084. I think you summed it up. This was a mental battle more so. Today, Ireland won. Incredible match. Yeah, totally agree. And as I mentioned in my video, I think there was that moment that the mental battle was won where Ireland kept kicking for the corner. It didn't work the first 1 or 2 times. And then the time that they did do it, I think a lot of people, from what I'm seeing in the comments and agreeing here with Robbie, is there was that moment where they went for the corner and you felt like it was just, that was the mental battle right there. It was either going to be Ireland were going to go over. They were going to, if the Ireland went over and they scored, they would have won the mental battle. If South Africa had defended it and kicked it away one more time, they would have won the mental battle. And lo and behold, Ireland scored, and who won the game, Okay, I would be remiss if I didn't comment on some of the comments here. There seems to be a regular theme here. We've got one comment here from John Cullen. I'm amazed at how much time you spent talking about the Box. Lost the game 80% and could have won instead of the team that did. There's another comment here. Let's have a look. Did Ireland win the game? Couldn't tell from your review. Thought your review was a bit one-sided. You would think South Africa won. Okay, they're in the corner in the last seconds, but the first time in the final 15 minutes or so, I had in the pressure. Anyway, great game. Okay, fine. Common comment here that I spoke more about South Africa than I did about Ireland. which I think is fair. I think I did speak about them a little bit. I did speak about Ireland though, and I've got to be very congratulatory for them winning this game in the way they did. Fronted up physically with South Africa, which is like no mean feat. But they did do that. They fronted up. They won the game. They were ballsy. They went for the corner. But the reason I think I talked a bit more about South Africa is that the missed kicks. I think if you're a mutual fan, I think you have to admit the missed kicks either side of it. You know, if you miss that many place kicks, if you miss that many points that are on the field, especially when you're playing South African rugby, which is territory, force the opposition to make mistakes. Especially if you're doing that, like you have to kick the points, and there were over 10 points in the game that were left there, and that was, I mean, they get those 10 points, they win the game. So I think, and I also think on top of that, how South Africa used this bomb squad is so different to anybody else in the tournament. I don't know anybody that would put on 6 forwards regularly, never mind 7 on the bench. So I find that fascinating. So apologies for maybe not speaking about Ireland as much as I should have. I like Ireland. I enjoy watching them play. I think them and France are by far the best Northern Hemisphere teams to watch, both from an entertainment point of view and a technical point of view. You know, yeah, yes, it's fair. But hey, okay. You know when I named my channel the Rugby Illuminati, I started off and I called it that because I instantly just thought of the symbol in my head of putting the rugby ball over the top of the eye and everything, and I just thought it was a bit of fun to do that. Little did I know that doing such a thing, it would give a safe space for rugby conspiracy theorists to come and dump their theories on my lawn, so to say. So I don't think I'm wearing appropriate headwear for this. What I'm going to do with this next comment. So if you give me a second, I've got to get the tin foil out for this. Here we go. Right. Okay, that's fine. That won't do. Come on, let's make this real. That's enough. That'll do. Okay. Okay. So Brian Lawrence and Ben O'Keefe are both from New Zealand, right? Rewatch that game or watch the close analysis. It is clear that was a horribly officiated game. In fact, and it is a fact, that cheating has been normalised and made legal by World Rugby. New Zealand, Ireland, France, Japan, Australia, Scotland, etc. Tactics are all the same now, and they got the original playbook from New Zealand, whose best players for years have been from the Pacific Islands. The spirit of this World Cup is to crown the best national rugby team, not the best nation, and can buy players from around the world. Who do you think is running World Rugby? These exact countries who benefit from these rules, and that's why they wrote those rules to suit them. The playbook continues with blessings of World Rugby, which is fast becoming corrupt as FIFA. They let the rich countries buy these islanders and South Africans, and the spirit of the World Cup is totally watered down to be replaced by a shell that it is all about money and winning. These teams also give zero acknowledgement to the feeder nations such as Tonga, Samoa, Fiji, and South Africa for producing their key talent. It is a slippery road to losing your morals, so after filling the team with players from other nations, why stop there? So if the result is not guaranteed, why don't we appoint a favoured World Rugby referee? If you question the above, then here is another fact. In this game, did anyone who was born in the Northern Hemisphere score a try or get man of the match? And if the answer is no, but that doesn't sound right, because didn't the team from the Northern Hemisphere win? Okay, I don't want to all over this guy, because I think there's some genuine things to say in here. There's some genuine points to take. I generally agree with some of the points made here. I think countries that are kind of taking some of the Pacific Islanders and other nations as well and kind of putting them in their team, I don't have a problem with it, but I feel like do feel sad for some of those teams that, could do better if they had some of those talent that was available to them. But at the end of the day, that's the player's choice. They choose who they want to play for. If they wanted to play for Tonga or Samoa or Fiji or South Africa, they would do that. Let's take the example of like Manu Tuilagi, right? So yeah, Manu Tuilagi, I think his family is traditionally from Samoa, ends up playing for England. I mean, this isn't some like conspiracy theory that, England stole Manu Tuilagi. Like, I, I think generally Manu Tuolangi chose to play for England, right? It was him that decided to do it. And yes, it is sad that some of these teams get to miss out on talent playing for their team. But do you know what's good? Is that that's becoming less and less of a thing. You know, the rise of Fiji, I think, is kind of spurring other nations such as Samoa and Tonga. They're giving examples of these teams are now starting to get better, and therefore there'll be less feeder players into these other nations. And you know, it's changing for the positive. So I don't know what you've got to kind of complain there. At the end of the day, it's the player's choice. I mean, even look at Matt Hansen, right? Matt Hansen, great winger, and he's decided to play for Ireland. From what I understand, his mother is Irish, and therefore he's decided to play for Ireland. It's all about player choice. This isn't teams stealing players, you know? They're not saying like, well, you've lived here in England, so now you're going to play for England or you're going to play for Ireland. Like, no, they're playing out of choice. So I guess I know what you're saying, but the sentiment's in the wrong place, and you know, maybe take the conspiracy out of it. What else have we got here? The spirit of this World Cup is to crown the best national rugby team, not the best nation that can buy players from around the world. Okay, let's take the buy out of that because I've just realized I've just basically told you why that's pretty stupid. But the spirit of the World Cup is to crown the best national rugby team, not the best nation. My dude, if someone chooses to play for a rugby nation, that's because they want to play for that nation. They want to represent that country. Like, this isn't some conspiracy theory where we're like some guy that's like super wants to play for Samoa, and we've just like mind melded him to want to come play for like another country. Like, that's just not what's happening. And also, like, countries are made up of like many people that are immigrants or like immigrants or whatever. Like, people transfer countries all the time. Who are we to say that, you know, someone's lived in Ireland for 4 years and they now, you know, they feel more comfortable playing for Ireland, or, you know, they move to New Zealand and they feel more comfortable playing for New Zealand? Like, who are we to say that? So yeah, what else to unpack here? I'm gonna leave that one where it is. I'm done with that. A poor game between New Zealand and France. Yeah, right. Have you heard about Specsavers? I don't think I am the only one to think that the New Zealand France game was slightly disappointing. If you didn't think both of those teams were playing nervous and didn't want to like make a mistake to, and therefore it like hindered the way they were playing, I think you need to go to Specsavers. What are we talking about? Are we watching the same rugby? What the Okay. Anyway, okay, so this is this so this is an example of why I can't win, right? Takolo Damons, I think you need to watch the game and record your review. Very poor. You can see from his further comments that he's a South African fan. So the Irish don't think I've done a good job, and the South Africans don't think I've done a good job. On to the next comment. Illuminati me hole. I don't understand this, but I massively appreciate that, and I'm liking this in real time. You are an error. Maybe you should stay with ballad. What does that even mean? What's a ballad? One of several fixed forms in French lyric poetry and song. A ballad, a classical musical since the late 18th century, refers to a setting of a literal ballad, a narrative poem in the musical tradition of the Iliad, or to a one movement instrumental piece with a lyrical and dramatic. Okay, moving on. Okay, we're done with the comments for that video. That's enough of that. Yeah, let's have a look at Wales, Australia. Let's have a look at the comments on here. Okie dokie. Right. DJ Harto, 4917. Done nothing for 4 to 5 years. Get a lucky draw. Referee robs Fiji. Beat the Aussies under 20s and into the semis. You gotta love Wales. How was the referee on Fiji's side? I don't understand. Yes, they haven't done anything for 4 to 5 years, but Warren Gatland's come in and he's taken an organization that is in complete turmoil and turned them into a half decent operation. Beat the Aussies under 20s and into the semis. Fair enough. I guess my problem with this comment more than anything is just like if you're to take Wales's achievement of getting through to the quarterfinals, especially in a group with Fiji and Australia, and just like diminish it as though it means nothing, like considering the financial turmoil they're under, considering all the players that retired literally just before the World Cup, I think I just this comment just like I just think it's brain dead. I just feel like, you know, I feel like they've done the best with a bad situation. They don't have a wealth of resources to come to, and they played their socks off. They beat Australia like handsomely. Like they did so good. Like how can you? I don't know. How can you take this as though it was pure luck? I'll give you an example of why this isn't pure luck, right? Wildcard talked about this in his review of the game. Wales, Australia, right? Both in terrible situations of rugby. Both of them, I can't remember which side I did with what, but Australia hires Eddie Jones, Gatland hires Wales, pretty much basically at the same time, right? If this was luck that Wales purely got through to the quarterfinals, why didn't Australia have that same luck? Where was the luck for them, you know? Where was the luck for them? It didn't exist. It was non-existent. It's fugazi. It's just, I don't know. Something rubs me the wrong way about it. I just feel like saying that this was luck is, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't think it's luck. Anyway, 57-year-old Welsh fan here, delighted for Wales, but not getting carried away. This has to be one of the worst Aussie side if ever. Sad day for rugby. Yeah, fair enough. I agree. It was a terrible Aussie side, but you know, got to be happy for Wales. I'm going to do 2 more comments here because this video is starting to drag on. Okay. What we're going to do is a final bit here. YouTube has a system where they hold comments for review. Basically, they decide that certain comments are inappropriate for YouTube and they don't want them put on the website. So they basically hold them for review, and you can choose whether you look at them or not. You don't get a notification if they come through or anything like that. So I'm going to have a look through some of these comments, and you can just see how freaking unhinged some people are. I'm going to knock out the names as well, just in case. Just in case people feel like they're on blast. Someone comments it, learn to type properly, you pleb. On my comment of Tate McDermott is done dirty by the ref, someone says, shut your mouth. England versus Fiji. England sucks. Boring as their limey ass. Sam, oh my god. Okay, we need to make a special mention for this video here. Sam Kane caught cheating. Get an effing life, dude. Boring. And I'm going to go through some of the other comments here, because this was, stop being a sole loser. It's over. And yeah, that's it. That's having a look through some of your crazy unhinged comments. I enjoyed this. Video itself is probably a bit disjointed, but I don't care. It's just a bit of fun. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, obviously give it a like. If it gets a positive response, then I'll do more. I'll do more of this. Anything that you give positive response for and give more views tells me that's what you want. So that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, that's it. See you later. Illuminati confirmed.